Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we've got a situation that's been blowing up all over social media, and it's got the entire WNBA fanbase split right down the middle. We're talking about the WNBA voting situation, the fan voting numbers, and the player rankings that are now circulating online. And listen, I'm just going to say it the way people are saying it online. There are a lot of questions being raised, and people want answers. Now, according to what's been floating around from unofficial tracking accounts like IDXTX on Twitter, there's been a major shift in the voting numbers in a very short window of time, and that's where things start getting heated. The claim is that Paige Bueckers saw a massive surge, something like a 400,000 vote jump in just about 3 days. And people are looking at that number and saying, hold on, how does that even happen in such a short span of time? At the same time, the numbers being discussed show Paige Bueckers around 1.4 million votes and Caitlin Clark around 1.2 million votes, with Aliyah Boston also right in that top conversation. But again, the key talking point for fans isn't just the ranking, it's the speed of the change. Because from the last publicly known update, Caitlin Clark was sitting near the top of the leaderboard, Aliyah Boston was leading in some counts, and Paige Bueckers was not in that top tier at that moment. So when people see a reported jump like that, the internet naturally starts questioning it. Now, let's be real here. Paige Bueckers is a major name. She's a high-profile player, huge college legacy at UConn, and one of the most marketable young stars in basketball. Nobody is denying her popularity, but the argument being pushed by fans online is about scale and timing. They're asking whether that level of movement in such a short window is normal or unusual. And that's where the controversy really starts to build. People are throwing around words like rigged, manipulated, and controlled voting, while others are pushing back and saying it's just fan engagement, social media momentum, and late surges from organized voting campaigns. So you've basically got two completely different narratives clashing head-on. Now, alongside the fan voting situation, another major point that's getting attention is the WNBA player rankings. Because according to what's being shared online, Caitlin Clark was ranked as the 11th best guard by WNBA players, and that immediately set off a wave of reactions. A lot of fans are saying that ranking feels extremely low based on her production, her impact, and what she's done statistically in her rookie season. Others are saying players vote based on matchups, scouting respect, and internal league perspective, not just box score stats or popularity. But the reaction online has been intense regardless. You've got people pointing out that Kelsey Plum was ranked lower than expected as well, despite being a proven elite scorer in the league. That comparison is being used by fans to argue that player voting doesn't always align with public perception or statistical output. And then you have commentary creators like Mick Talks Hoops being referenced in discussions, pointing out that similar, surprising rankings have happened before. For example, Sabrina Ionescu being ranked lower in a previous player poll despite strong statistical seasons and team success. That comparison is being used to argue that these voting results aren't new. They've just become more visible now because of the spotlight on the league. But here's where the conversation gets even heated online. Some fans are not just debating performance, they're questioning bias in perception, media narratives, and how popularity influences or doesn't influence voting outcomes. And this is where discussions start to get messy very quickly, because different people interpret it in completely different ways. Now, let's bring it back to Caitlin Clark specifically, because she is at the center of most of this discussion. Supporters are saying she's putting up historic-level production for a rookie, carrying massive offensive responsibility, and drawing unprecedented attention to the league. They point the scoring averages, assist numbers, and the overall impact on Indiana Fever games as proof that her influence is undeniable. Critics of that narrative argue that rookie impact doesn't automatically translate to top-tier league ranking, and that veterans still command respect based on years of performance and defensive assignments. So what you end up with is a very polarized debate, where nobody agrees on the same evaluation system. Now, add the voting controversy on top of that, and you've got the perfect storm for online outrage. Some fans are saying the timing of Paige Bueckers' surge looks suspicious. Others are saying it's just the natural result of a huge fan base, especially coming out of UConn support, combined with social media campaigns and late voting pushes. There's even talk about organized fan voting efforts boosting numbers in bursts. But again, nothing is officially confirmed as manipulation. These are all interpretations and reactions from the online community. Now, let's talk about another angle that people have brought into the conversation: media coverage and visibility. There were claims circulating that Indiana Fever had limited media availability at one point, with no public practice access on a given day. That immediately sparked speculation online, with fans asking whether something was being hidden or simply a normal scheduling decision. Because in professional sports, teams often have closed practices, rest days, or media blackout windows depending on travel schedules and coaching decisions. But when a team with high-profile attention like Indiana Fever does it, it gets amplified instantly. And of course, Caitlin Clark being the center of attention only adds fuel to that fire. Fans are asking, is she healthy? Is she practicing? Is she being managed carefully? Is she playing in the next game? And when answers aren't immediately public, speculation fills the gap. That's just how modern sports media cycles work now, especially with social media driving constant real-time discussion. So when you put everything together, the voting surge claims, the player rankings, the media speculation, you end up with a situation where every detail is interpreted as part of a bigger narrative, whether or not it actually is. And that's really the core issue here. The conversation around the WNBA right now is extremely amplified. Every ranking, every vote update, every lineup decision gets analyzed under a microscope. And with stars like Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Kelsey Plum, and Sabrina Ionescu all part of the discussion, the spotlight is not going anywhere. At the end of the day, some people see competitive voting dynamics and subjective rankings. Others see inconsistency and question fairness, and both sides are loud online. But what's undeniable is this: engagement is at an all-time high, and every update is sparking massive reaction across the basketball community. So now the question becomes, do these voting swings reflect normal fan behavior in a highly engaged sports environment? Or do they highlight deeper issues in how these systems are structured and perceived? That's the debate. And it's not going away anytime soon. Anyway, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think these voting changes are just normal fan momentum shifts? Or is there something more going on behind the scenes? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel.